Well, according to the CDC, 1 in 10 Americans have diabetes and 1 in 3 Americans have pre-diabetes. And many of them don't even know that they have it. Joining us now to help us figure out where we stand is Dr. Perron. So good morning. Thank you for being here.
Well, good morning. Happy to be here.
Yes, I know it was probably a cold drive-in, but we're happy to have you.
All good.
So a lot of Americans, as I mentioned, are walking around with diabetes, and most of them don't really know it, and most of them usually have type 2 diabetes. So how do we know if we're one of them?
Correct. So 1 in 10 Americans, as you said, have diabetes. 90 to 95% of them have type 2 diabetes, which is basically a lifestyle disease when it comes down to it. Now, pre-diabetes is a third of the U.S. population, and that's the big one that, hovering on the cusp of getting the real thing is how do you get it? So some of the things that people can think about and evaluate themselves and then evaluate their choices and their lifestyle, maybe, hopefully, is whether obesity, it's a big one. Frequent urination. 4 to 7 times a day is about normal. So if you're just living in the restroom, that's kind of a red flag. Excessive hunger, excessive thirst. And a really big one is blurred vision. You got blurred vision, you should be checking it out with your doctor either way. And today's message is a lot about what can you do to turn it back.
Yeah.
And even if you have the full-fledged type 2 diabetes, you can still turn it back. You just have to change a few things in your day.
Well, that is good. Good news that they can turn it back. Now, what is the difference? I know you mentioned the symptoms there, but what's the difference between type 1 and type 2?
Sure. Type 1 is something you are born with. So you actually literally are born with a malfunctioning pancreas and the insulin and so forth are processing sugar. Type 2 is basically a chronic beating of your insides to where you just put so much toxic stuff into your system that eventually your body just says, Uncle, I can't do it anymore. But again, you can revitalize things, but what got you there can't get you where you want to back to where you want to be.
And I know you mentioned a few symptoms. Is there anything else that people can, look at their lifestyle and go, maybe I should visit the doctor just to make sure I don't have this?
Sure. Well, one thing is, it's always good to visit the doctor if you have a question, right? That's what we're here for, is we want to make sure that you have the knowledge, and Google's an amazing thing, but what it lacks is context.
Yeah.
And so any questions definitely should be addressed with your doctor. But empowering you, and hopefully the doctor does as well, of going, okay, you know what, you have this, but you have 2 choices. You can go, the medication route and live life through better chemistry, but it's kind of covering up really your inside health. And so by boosting up and doing some healthy things, you can actually make it go away. It's very reversible.
Yeah, and how can you reverse it?
Sure. Well, the big one is you got to lose that extra weight, right? So extra weight, I like to call it extra because it is extra. When we have fat and the more we have around us, it's basically where we stick our toxins. It's like our storage closet. We put in enough stuff into our system and our body goes, I don't know what to do with it, and I can't take care of all this today, so we're going to put it over there and put it over there and put it over there.
Yeah.
Well, eventually that closet kind of overfills, and then that's where we've got more. But it's a constant stressor on the system. And so by just eating better, so eating more plants, as I like to say, so eating fresh.
Yeah, so maybe not the donuts, maybe going
exactly.
something more green and leafy.
So eating more plants. Well, we hear about carbohydrates are bad. Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Carbohydrate. Okay, vegetables are carbohydrates. So are fruits. So is this lovely donut. And it's really a matter of good carb, bad carb, as well as good fat, bad fat. This is got a little bit of fat in it, this little donut. Well, these lovely almonds are actually filled with fat, and it's good fat. We actually need good fat for our nervous system and our overall health in general. And then another one is we hear about sugar-free,
Oh, yes.
The chemicals that put in to make it sugar-free so it still tastes edible, well, this is full of sugar. So is this glazed with lovely sugar. So it's really being educated and thinking about what our choices are. So it's really a quality control thing. One of the best things anybody can do in a 90-day plan, and one of the staples I have in my book for the food part, in a 90-day kickback, if you cut out bread, pasta, alcohol, and anything processed. In other words, you got to actually make your own food a little bit, eat fresh stuff. It's dramatic, the changes you can have
Really?
within weeks, let alone a couple of months.
Interesting. So it's just about the choices you make. Now, if people are interested in learning more, they want to find out more information, where can they go to learn a bit more about your book and then also some other healthy lifestyle choices?
Absolutely. So the book is on barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com, chrisperron.com. I have some additional resources that people can go to. I have a few cooking videos. And really my goal is to make it so that you know that being healthy is simple. It's actually not as difficult as a lot of people think, because we're inundated with a lot of details and a lot of noise.
Oh, yes.
And so just being able to sift through it to actually come up with an action plan is very challenging for folks, and I don't blame them. My whole goal, a lot of people have called it an implementation guide, because it takes you from that concept of being healthy to actually how can you make it real in your day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and telling us a little bit about some of those healthy lifestyle choices that you can make at home. It is time now for a quick break, but we'll be back just after this.